I'm Lisi and I have a gluten allergy.
And I'm Lucy and I have celiac disease.
And this is gluten-free gaming.
This week we played the game Everspace. But first, let's do a little life check-in. What have you been up to, Lisi?
Playing a lot of Everspace. I was trying really hard this week to beat the game and I still have not, but I spent like so long. I was also playing like Forza a little bit to break things up because I hadn't played that yet and it's on Xbox Game Pass and I like racing games. So I had a lot of fun with it. I streamed it on Thursday and it was pretty popular, so I think I'll probably do it again. So I had a fun time with that.
Ooh, did you get a lot of people in your stream?
Yeah, so it was fun.
That's exciting.
It was a good
I'm
time.
really sorry I wasn't there, but
No,
that's
no
so
worries.
exciting.
Yeah, and I got like 5 followers, so I'm almost to 40 followers, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty
that's
hyped about
super
that.
exciting. Follow Lisi at twitch.tv/Lisi_Galaxy.
Whoop whoop.
I have been reading a lot. I am reading currently Sleepwalking by Meg Wolitzer. Oh god. I read Dead Blondes and Bad Mothers, which is about like women in media. I read What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat, which was about like the just like society's thoughts around fat people, which was super inspiring for me and like really, I don't know, helpful in like understanding myself and like the way that people interact with me. And I'm also listening to the audiobook for one of my favorite YA series that I read when I like was 10, Beautiful Creatures.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
I'm listening to the audiobook for it. I loved it as a kid. So, and I still love it now. It's still good. It holds up, everything.
Love that. We love nostalgia kicks.
Also, I wanted to talk about, so did you hear that Netflix was doing gaming soon?
I did not. Tell me more.
Netflix wants to get into gaming, and from what I can tell, it looks like they want to make their own like Netflix original games.
That's ambitious.
Remember how there were like interactive, there was that interactive Black Mirror episode or
Yeah.
something on Netflix years back? That was kind of like I think they're kind of going for something similar to that but more gamey.
Interesting.
So like it would be like a PC type game or something. There's not a lot of information on it, but it looks like they're doing it to try and increase their shares and stuff. But the interesting thing is, because of this, GameStop's stock already has decreased.
Amazing. I mean, GameStop is like, after the whole like, Reddit pumping their stock and all that kind of stuff, like they're I don't know, I want to call them like kind of like a zombie, like they're like half alive, like they're just barely keeping afloat, like they're probably one like well pulled off short squeeze away from just like plummeting. So yeah, GameStop is a dying breed. It's like it lived longer than Blockbuster, even though there's not like a huge reason for it to, because like everything's going digital.
Yeah. And like, honestly, I can't tell. Is it going to be better for the environment if all of our games are digital? Because there'd be a lot less packaging and everything is plastic. And
It would be, I think. I just don't think it's ever going to go away completely. And like, I mean, GameStop would be doing a lot better if they pivoted into like the retro game space, because the retro game space has been doing great like since the pandemic, because everybody was like, I have a bunch of time at home now. What did I used to do? And then they were like, oh, I used to play the GameCube. And then, they just pick up a GameCube. So like retro games are booming, but and GameStop does some of that online, but they don't have like any of like the older consoles like or games for them in their stores, which is like a mistake, I think.
I wish there were more mainstream emulators, like less illegal emulators.
Well, here's the thing about emulating games. Like Dolphin is probably like the best one that I know of. That's like the most like typical one to use for Windows and stuff. And there's this like website, Vimslayer, which if you technically owned the game or owned it at one point, you can, play the game on an emulator. It doesn't have to be on the original hardware. If you owned the game, you can download it, you can do whatever you want with it, right? Technically. So like Vimslayer exists as kind of like a preservation of a bunch of these like retro games, and like it goes like all the way back to like Game Boy and stuff like that. And you can download them and play them on emulators. And like, it doesn't have to be illegal. Like, game emulation isn't strictly illegal. So like, obviously, if you pirate the games, never own them, then yeah, illegal. But we don't endorse that.
Okay, let's move on to our game. So Everspace is a non-linear space combat roguelike game released in 2017 and developed by Rockfish Games. It was put onto the Switch store, I think, a bit later, but it's released for pretty much every platform. The second game in the Everspace series will be released in 2022 on every platform. And from what I can tell, Everspace 2, at least in the early release versions that I've seen reviews of, is so much better than Everspace 1.
Okay.
There are like 5 more ships that you can like have. There's like a significantly stronger storyline, and the progression is a lot different. But it's still the same vibe, same roguelike kind of thing, but there's like more variations. The game received a 78 on Metacritic and a 7 out of 10 on Nintendo Life magazine. So not the most loved game, but not the most hated either. It's a very,
Yeah.
I think there were very mixed reviews on the Steam store, I would say. Some people had 5 hours logged and were like, this game is cool. And some people had 200 hours logged and they were like, this game sucks. I hate it. And it's like, but you played 2 hours. 200 hours.
200
sorry.
hours. Yeah. No, like that. There was this one review for some game I remember seeing that it was like 2,000 hours played, and they were like, do not recommend this game. It's terrible. And it's like, dude, you spent 2,000 hours on it. Like, I just think it's funny as like a juxtaposition to be like, yes, this game is cursed. Yes, I'll play it for 2,000 hours. And no, I wouldn't recommend it to literally anybody.
Most of the negative reviews mentioned repetitivity after a certain amount of time because there are pretty much the same enemies the whole time. And I didn't have an issue with that. I didn't think that like the enemies were really overly repetitive, but maybe that's just me. I think especially when you get further into the game, you start getting like big ships that you have to destroy that like
Big
will send
boys.
out drones.
Yeah, the Corvettes.
I didn't think that like the enemies especially were super repetitive.
That seems like it would be an issue, like if somebody didn't get that far, like because in like sectors 1 and 2, you don't have like a ton of variation in enemies. So like if you like play the game for like, I don't know, 6 hours and you just don't get that far, like
yeah,
that would make
and
sense.
like anyone who plays a roguelike will tell you, like every roguelike feels like you're getting super repetitive for like the middle time of playing it. I can say that about like every beloved roguelike I have, where it's just like, are you kidding me that I have to do this all again? I've died and now I have to do it all again. It's just the nature of roguelikes, but then it gets so much better once you get more into it in any roguelike. And I don't think this game is exempt from that. Like, I think that this game was fun, especially getting further in and like having the stakes higher. But there were definitely like predictabilities. Like in Sector 4, there is an exclamation point zone where you go to that ancient rock thing, and that's like inevitable every time you run to Sector 4. So there are some things that are like predictable, but I wouldn't say that the repetitiveness was an issue with me, but that was like one of the main complaints.
Yeah, this was the first roguelike I played. So like obviously I'm gonna try like Hades and other like, highly renowned roguelikes, but like I definitely felt the repetitiveness. I felt it more at the beginning, I think, when I was still on normal mode instead of easy mode, and I just kept dying. Like I would have like literally just like 5-minute runs, less than a minute runs, like they didn't last at all, and I was just like, this is garbage. But I was like, I'm garbage at the same time. But when I switched to easy mode and I started to actually progress, I was having more fun with it, getting into it more. But like definitely after like you do like an hour-long run and you're like, okay, I've gotten really far, and then you die and you're like, okay, screw this, I'm gonna do something else for a while.
Yeah, you need to like decompress.
Yeah,
Like,
for
I'm
sure.
gonna go play Stardew Valley and cry for a minute, and then I'll come back.
Exactly.
I've been playing
Exactly.
the video game Overboard, which is also a repetitive game, but it's very fun. But that's kind of been my like little intermediary because the runs on that game are like 10 minutes long. So you can just really, I'll tell you more about it later. But you can just like really quickly go through
Cool,
it.
cool. Should we explain what the game actually is? Because
Yeah,
I feel like we kind of
I'm
skipped over
about to
that.
explain that.
Okay.
So this game is a roguelike space combat destroyer zoom zoom game. There's a storyline. You get a different cutscene when you get into different sectors. So there are 6 sectors. You go through, there are maybe about 3 to 5 levels within each sector. And then after you hit the last level in the sector, you hit a jump drive and you go into the next sector. Each sector has like a different color palette, I would say. They're not incredibly noticeable until you have to play them a bunch of times. But like sector 4 is very purple, sector 5 is green. I don't know, sector 3 is kind of yellowy. So they all kind of have like a different vibe in the sectors, but each sector is a like progression towards finishing the storyline. The storyline is you are a clone of this person who started making clones.
Yeah, he was a scientist.
So you are the clone of the scientist who doesn't have any memories. And so every time you die, a new clone is taking over, I guess, is kind of the explanation between like how you keep dying and redoing the thing.
Yeah, like I got a little bit of info from there's that like alien person Throng that you can meet and do like missions for and stuff. And like I feel like you get more information from them about like what a clone really is, kind of, because they talk about like the infinite lifetimes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there are several NPCs that you run into throughout the game. There's Tareen. Tareen is, I think, the first NPC you run into.
Yeah.
And he wants you to collect, I think, just scrap the first time you meet him.
Yeah, 200 scrap.
And then he makes you give him a Gatling 40mm gun, which was really hard for me to get to him. And then he asks for access keys, and he amps up the rarity of what he wants. It's very annoying. I avoid him.
Yeah, I haven't even given him the Gatling, and I don't think that it's worth it for me.
It isn't. Also, the Gatling is a really good gun, so like if you use it instead of giving it to him, you might as well. Throng is the guy who really likes like space things, and he wants you to scan all the space things, right?
Yeah, he's like a scientist, and I don't even know what like I don't know if they have a gender, if like what pronouns they would use, because like it sounds like it's voiced by like a woman, but I have no idea. Anyways, just slight aside. But yeah, they want you to collect all this like scientific information. They want you to scan like these little like blobs that like live on asteroids and other little creatures that just kind of live in space, which I didn't know that, anything could live in space, but this is fictional. We have clones. So I guess that's
It was kind of cool what he had you scan though,
yeah.
or what they had you scan though, because there were like just like those green blobs and
Yeah.
the tentacle things that would pop out of like abandoned ships. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I like doing those missions. And like after you've completed it, you can still scan those things and it'll just automatically give you credit, which is cool.
Yeah, it definitely helps when you're trying to build up a lot of credits. I'm in like, so he wants me to scan like one of the hardest to deal with enemies, and I'm like, nope, not gonna do it.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten that far in the missions. I think that I forget which one I'm currently on. I'll look it up later.
Carly is she kind of pops in and I can't even remember what she asks you to do. Oh, she wants you to destroy ships? I don't know. I don't remember.
She has you like help her like set up different stuff. Like there's one where like the mining lasers are down because she works for GMB, which is like the corporation that like works out in this like demilitarized zone of space that we're in. And so she has you help with like some missions like that, and then she'll give you like a bunch of credits or like resources or whatever.
And she's also two-timing GMB with the other enemy, the Okar, which is this alien race that we are technically against.
There's still like a war kind of going on. Yeah.
Our two main enemies are the Okar and outlaws. And then sometimes if you accidentally attack GMB, which is the like, I don't know, it's like a corporation kind of situation. If you accidentally attack them, then they're your enemies for a temporary amount of time. But Carly is working for both GMB and the Okar. So you get to go through a wormhole and deal with the Okar there, and it turns out she wanted you to die over there. And she was setting you up to die. I don't know if you've gotten this far.
I have not gotten that far. Spicy. But yeah, I've gotten to the part where they're talking about her going through these wormholes and stuff.
Yeah, and so she ends up wanting you to die, but then you end on friendly terms with her. And then I finished her missions really quickly. I don't know if anyone else's missions end, but hers end. Like, she doesn't come up again after you finish with her. Then there's Maurice. Maurice is French.
Yeah, I like his little accent. And I love the voice acting in the game, as like a slight aside.
Yeah, the voice acting.
I like that they voice acted all the characters. It's really good.
Maurice is asking for...
He just wants you to fill out, like, to complete his, like, contracted kills, basically. He's like a little robot man, and he just gives you, like, the death warrants that he has on his docket, basically, and then you just go out and kill him, and he gives you a bounty.
Because he wants to do other things.
Yeah, he has other stuff that he won't tell us what he's doing, but whatever. I like doing the Maurice missions, but I'm still on that one where the guy, as soon as you try to kill him, he warps away. So
oh yeah,
that one's tricky. So I'm still working on that.
I used missiles on those people because the missiles will seek them.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like spin around. Then there's Alec. Alec is a hoe. I don't like him. I don't like his missions. He makes you do really hard things. And then his last mission is really hard, and I haven't finished it because I always die and I just want to finish the game.
Fair.
But he makes you do stuff.
Yeah, he makes you like raid these like outlaw like posts where they have like a bunch of weapons and stuff. And like it's like, he says it's for the better of you both because then you don't have to deal with as many outlaws. But like I don't know if there's actually a noticeable difference in the game. I don't think there is.
There isn't.
And like I got more rewards from just killing the outlaws at the post than I did when he got there. Because like he takes most of the loot and then leaves you like a couple of shitty things and like, a couple of like mods and stuff for your weapons. And then you just like, it's like, okay, bye. And he doesn't even give you any credits. So I was like, screw that.
Yeah. And then in your last mission with him, he like is leveled up like in like the military or whatever. He's like now a commander or something, and he's so mean to me. He's like, yeah, I still want you to do grunt work for me. It's like, okay, bro.
Gross. So I'm just gonna, in my canon run of Everspace, I'm just gonna stop helping him so he never gets that far.
Yeah, I just skip.
I don't want him to get that far in life.
I skip his if I have to warp to him, I skip it.
Yeah, same.
You can choose so there are different branching paths. We didn't mention this, but in each sector there are branching paths, and you can kind of see ahead what you're going to get depending on how leveled up you are. So you can at some point see if there's going to be a specific danger in the weather. If you travel to that place, you can see if there's going to be a trading post or a healing center or whatever they're called. And you can also see who, like which NPC will be there. So that's kind of nice because then it kind of gives you an idea of where you want to start heading. And then there are also different difficulty levels to each level. So say you're just really low on health and just really want to make it to like an outpost before you can do anything else. You can just go to the lighter colored spots, but the orange spots are a little bit harder. They have more enemies or something.
Yeah.
I think we should mention that this game has 3 difficulty modes. There's easy, medium, and hard. Easy is the only one I could actually get anything done on.
Same.
Medium is labeled as the way you're meant to die, and it is so hard.
Yeah, literally.
I played 1 round on hard, and I died within 3 seconds of starting it. It was so difficult.
Yikes.
And I think that was one of my main complaints with this game, is that it is like, it's kind of frustrating that it gives you 3 modes, but the only one you can really do is the easy mode.
Yeah, it's like normal mode, hard mode, and then harder mode. Like it's not actually like an easy mode. Like it's easier than the like normal mode, but I don't even know like what kind of like gamer you have to be, because like you like roguelikes. I've played a bunch of space games. So like if both of us who like play video games and are not terrible at video games like are having such a hard time with it, I'm like, I don't know who you have to be to like feel like you can actually even do hard mode. Like I hope that that's something that they fix in the second in like the sequel, because it really just feels punishingly difficult when I don't think that was what it was supposed to be like. Like that's not what it's marketed as.
And don't get me wrong, I really appreciate when games have difficulty levels. Like
Yeah.
Hades has a god mode where if you keep dying, your defense goes up. So if you keep winning in Hades, then it doesn't do anything. But if you die in Hades, it helps you out and increases your defense, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And it helped me be able to win. Um, and I appreciate when games have difficulty levels, but I definitely thought that this one was like ridiculous at how hard just a normal mode was. And also, you get less money through easy mode. You get fewer enemies, which means fewer loot chances.
Yeah.
It's not even just like it's easier enemies, it's just fewer enemies.
Yeah, but like also it is easier enemies, because if you go on like normal mode or hard mode, they immediately like are on you and they're like way more aggressive. So like yeah, it's technically easier enemies, but also like you don't get as much loot and they're not easy enough to be like worth it. Like I feel like they did like a wrong like it on a sliding scale, right? They did it like they didn't do it great, because they're like, okay, easier enemies, but there's also less of them, so you don't get as much loot and like as much like fuel and other stuff you need. Like there's more trading posts in like those G&B places where you can buy stuff, but like those aren't always helpful because you may not have enough credits to actually utilize them if you're not like killing enough enemies. And then normal mode is like, okay, if you can actually kill the enemies, then yeah, you get more stuff, but it's like it's so much harder to even get that far.
Yeah, and my ship is all but like 3 upgrades away from being fully upgraded. And I have a ton of mods, I have a ton of like accessory upgrades, and I still cannot beat this game on easy mode.
Yeah, I feel like, and you've sunk like 55 hours into it. I've probably spent like, I would say easily 15 hours this week alone. And like I'd spent like 10 hours before that. Like I could check on my Switch, but too lazy to do that. But like it feels like I've spent at least 20 hours on the game. And like I looked up like an average like runtime thing, like not completionist, just like to finish the game. And it was like, oh yeah, it should take like about 19 hours. And I was like, okay, cool. So I can play it like in 1 week for the podcast, whatever. And no, just like dying all the time.
Yeah, so I looked up the times for a completionist run, it says about 61 hours. As a person who's officially technically played 50 to 55 hours, I haven't even finished the game, let alone finished all of the tasks.
Yeah.
And I have completed 115 runs.
Yeah, I'm still on like 40 something. But yeah, it's hard.
I think one person on Steam said they finished the game in 75 runs,
Okay.
which is still a lot.
Yeah, especially when like towards the end, right? When you're getting to like those deeper levels, like sector like 5 and 6, like on every run, like it takes you like an hour to do each of those runs.
Yeah, yeah. It takes a long time.
So I don't understand how you can do 75 runs and not spend like an absurd amount of time.
And if you really want like as much resource as you can get so that you can build better weapons and better secondary weapons, you're going to have to stay in each level for a long time to be able to like collect all the boxes and go through all the mining and stuff. And it takes a while.
Yeah, I found the more time I take in each like little zone that you warp to, like the better I do, because you can collect more loot, more boxes, kill more enemies, that kind of stuff. Like initially I was just trying to see how far I could get, and so I would just like completely boost my like lucky jump chance, because if you jump without enough fuel, you can damage your ship. So I just boosted that to high heavens and then tried to see how far I could get by just interacting with as few people as possible, mining fuel wherever I could, and only interacting when I had to. And like I really was only getting to sector 3, like, but then Lucy told me that there's a better ship that I could be using, because I was actually using that like this like the little beginner ship, which kind of sucks, for like a long time, because I didn't know that the last ship was free.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could just switch to it. I thought that they all cost 10,000 credits. I was nowhere close to that.
Yeah, so there are 4 ships. There are 2 normal ships. Those are the ships you can start with. There's the first one and the fourth one. So those 2 you can use at the beginning. The first ship sucks. The fourth one, best ship ever. Then there are 2 middle ships. The first middle ship is like a light, it's a more defensive ship. It's kind of like if you want to do this run without like putting a lot of fighting out, but you can take more damage, take that ship. And if the second ship or the third ship, I mean, is a more like aggressive ship, like that you don't have a shield on that ship. It's the only way you can get the Gatling 40 millimeter for terrain is with that ship. I got to sector 4 with that ship, I think. I thought it was better for a while, but then I was like, oh, but the lightning gun is so good because you can hit multiple targets.
It's really good.
It is the best
It
gun.
is really good.
Upgrade it, like all that jazz. It's the best gun.
Yeah, no, it really is. And like the beam laser like was something that I really liked whenever I picked it up with the first ship. And then I like the lightning gun is literally just a better version of the beam laser. Like it's so great.
And your energy is so much better on that ship as well. You have a lot more energy to spend, and it also is a lot faster. Which is one of the other things I would complain about is like I feel like the speed of the ship is just too slow sometimes.
Yeah. That and like the controls aren't super intuitive. Like I had to look up how to retarget enemies because like it had been a little while since I'd done the tutorial. So like I had to figure out that was like pressing the right stick and like stuff like that. So it's not like super intuitive. Like I've had to Google things.
Wait, retarget the enemies?
Yeah. So like if you've targeted an enemy, right? But you want to switch targets, you just press the right stick down.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that helped me a lot with like combat and stuff because like sometimes it'll target something that's like farther away, or like it won't target unless you've actually managed to hit them once, which I'm not super great at aiming. So like if I couldn't like lock onto them, I couldn't send missiles and stuff like that. So
yeah, because I had issues of targeting GMB on accident and then like
yeah,
making GMB my enemy for a while. So that was rough.
I accidentally did that with the EMP blaster because like that's something that comes standard on the fourth ship as well. You can like blast it and then like all the ships around you get like hit with like static and they freeze for a little while, which is like super great for me because I'm not great at aiming. But and like that with the lightning gun is just like killer combo. But if you do it while GMB are there, and usually GMB will help you because they don't like the outlaws either. But if you do that while they're fighting next to you, they get hit with it and then they get mad at you. And I was like, no.
Yeah, once you see everything glow red, you're like, I gotta get out of here, man. Like, I hope GMB doesn't hate me in the next area.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Yeah, I started upping my like GNB stat where like you can like make them like you more so that they could let me steal fuel a little bit more often without hitting me immediately.
Oh, I completely avoid their fuel tanks. I'm like, I know they're gonna hate me if I do this.
Yeah, like it's always like a dice roll for me. I'm like, okay, if I'm at full health, I'm just gonna make the jump because that way, if I like, especially if I have a bunch of resources, because then I'm like, okay, even if I do get hit, even if my ship gets damaged, I can repair it. But if I'm at like very low health, I'm like, literally my only option is just steal the fuel. So it's like it's a last ditch resort.
A part that I didn't like is that the resources that you get, you don't know until you get into the sector, into the section that you're going to. You don't know what resources are going to be mineable. And fuel is always super mineable in the first 2 areas, first 2 sectors. And it's like, I don't want to mine fuel here because I don't need it here. But then once you get into like sector 4 or 5, you never get fuel. I never get fuel in those sectors.
I got really lucky when on that one run that I got to like halfway through sector 6, which is 7 total sectors. I don't know if we mentioned that. But I got halfway through sector 6 and I had been lucky because I had been able to mine fuel like 3 separate times before getting there. And that was in like the later sectors in like 3, 4, and 5. So, and like I was also like, you know, doing pretty well. I'd got some lucky upgrades, that kind of stuff. And I only had to jump without fuel, I think twice to get that far, which is like unusual for me. But yeah, like if you don't get enough spots to mine fuel, it's like really difficult to progress.
Yeah, there is one task that you're supposed to complete where you are supposed to destroy 50 fuel tanks in one run. Um,
Yeah.
I went for that one and I got it finally. That was cool. I got 1,000 credits for it, which is nothing.
Yeah, literally, like the further you get, the more you realize that like 1,000 credits is like kind of like garbage, which makes it like all the more demeaning to have to buy fuel from GMB because you can do that at some of their trading posts. And like you're like, okay, well now I'm gonna spend 1,000 credits on like, fuel. And like, well, it's not enough when you're going to upgrade your ship. The difference between like 9,000 and 10,000 credits means like you cannot like upgrade certain things. So like, so it's frustrating to have to buy fuel. And also it's even more frustrating when you're like, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to have to buy fuel. And you show up and all they have is a trading post and a repair station and there's no fuel. Like, what the heck?
Oh, so you have to have like fully leveled up a certain amount where then you will always get all three.
Okay, maybe I should just focus on that perk a little more.
Right now I always get all three. I think that now we should maybe get into the story a bit. So this is kind of a spoilery mode. Um
Yes, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So the storyline is you are the clone of this guy named Adam Roslin. Um you still go by Adam Roslin. But you are uncovering his life. Every sector gives you a new cutscene. There are 10 cutscenes total, because you get a couple in the beginning. And then
And a couple like after, like I got a couple when I would go like after the first jump after getting into a new sector, you would get like an additional cutscene.
yes. So there are 10 cutscenes total. I still haven't gotten all of them because I haven't finished through Sector 7. But the gist is you were forced to make clones by the OCAR, or not by the OCAR, by the GMB company. And you are using OCAR DNA. I don't know how important that is, but you are like being forced to make these weird mutant
You're
clones.
supposed to actually be made. I think it's for the colonials, right? It's not. It's actually it's like for the government, not for
Yes.
GMB, right?
Sorry, you're right. 100% right. It's colonials, not GMB.
All good. And they have this race war going with the OCAR, and then they and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but this was just my understanding of the cutscenes, and maybe they're a little vague. But then they ask you to make clones of the OCAR to kind of reinstigate the war, even though it's kind of done. Like there's a peace treaty, because the person wants to profit more off of war and like increase their power and rank and take over the entire like space universe, whatever. And then like your old buddy from like military school is like totally on board with it, and you're like, what the hell? This is wrong. And then they poison you and force you to make the clones anyway. And then I haven't really gotten that much further than that, so you can take over from there.
Yeah, so they drug you and force you to make the clones, and then after they force you to make the clones, you run away and all the clones get out or something. And then the colonial fleets get like the colonials get destroyed, but your lab is still secure because you're the only one who can get in. Only someone with Adam Roslin DNA can get in, which is all the clones. So your buddy from military school is trying to get into the lab so that he can get all the information and like boost back up the colonial like lifestyle, I guess. I don't know. So Sector 7 is one spot and you have six rounds of enemies coming at you. After you die, because you're gonna die, and you go back to Sector 7, you start back up. So the first time I defeated 3 rounds, so I started back up at round 4 when I died. So I got to go through round 4 to round 6, and then I died at round 6. So when I get back to Sector 7 eventually, I will be able to start up at round 6. So then I don't have to defeat all those. It makes it easier.
That's good.
I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But you before you start having all these enemies, which are called in by your old buddy, the mystery, there's been this mystery helper who comes in every now and then and gives you random resources or fuel if you need it. So she'll pop in sometimes, and it turns out that she's your sister.
Woohoo, siblings.
Can't remember her name, but she's our sister. She doesn't pop in anymore after you meet her, like as your sister in Sector 7, which kind of sucks.
Sad.
But she's our sister, and she's been helping us because she wants us to make it to the lab and destroy everything in the lab before the colonial fleet can get to it. And she's a home dog. But then she gets killed by our friend.
Sad.
Yeah. So that's why she doesn't come back, because she just gets killed right away.
Rip.
So that sucks. Yeah. I assume once you get into the lab, the last cutscene comes up and you can do what you have to do in the lab. Haven't gotten there, obviously. And then there is some end game stuff with you can go through as much as you want after completing the story, and complete all of the tasks that you didn't get to complete before. So yeah. There are 4 ships that you can play with. We talked about that. I grinded on the 4th ship and have it almost fully upgraded, and that was the best decision I made in this game, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's the best ship by far. If you are new to this game, pick the 4th ship. Don't be like me. I made mistakes.
And even like stick with the lightning gun. Like there are 3 different loadouts that you can pick for the ship, for each ship, that you can that you'll pick up as you keep going.
Yeah.
Stick on the first loadout with the lightning gun, and
it's really
the
good.
best loadout. I don't know why they buried the best version in the first one, because no one's gonna think that the best version is the first one you can get.
Yeah, again, I feel like the 2 ships that you can choose from initially without spending any credits on them should have been at the start, so that you can see your options before knowing that you have to spend money. And because I made that mistake. But so I think first of all, they should have done that, and second of all, yeah, I mean, I would be a little annoyed if I had to get a higher loadout to get the lightning gun, so because it's really good, but it would make more sense having it be the first one. I feel like people are going to make the mistake of trying to do something else,
because the lightning gun is so sick. It is the best gun in the entire game. Some of them are a little more powerful, but the lightning gun is the only one that can target more than one enemy at a time.
Yeah, because you lock onto one person, and then if anybody's in a vicinity, the lightning will arc off of their ship and onto somebody else. It's super great. It's I'll just lock onto the beefiest dude.
Yeah.
And then just it'll kill everything else while I'm killing them, which is great.
Yeah, it's really nice. And especially when you're doing the corvettes that have the drones pop out during
the shield drones. Yeah.
Those are the lightning gun is a lifesaver in those situations.
Yeah.
In the reviews, a lot of people commented on how they wish that it had been more campaign-like than roguelike. So more similar to other games of its kind. I didn't mind the roguelike aspect.
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad because this is your first roguelike experience. It's not the best first roguelike, I think.
I'm kind of getting that. It's okay. I'm still gonna give other roguelikes a try.
Yeah.
I just think that they made a couple of mistakes with I feel again, if the difficulty modes if it was a campaign, if you could keep more of your progress, it would make sense why it would be this difficult. So I feel that's why people are saying that it would be better if it wasn't a roguelike. But I don't think picking a roguelike for this is necessarily wrong. A space roguelike is a good idea, but they just made it too difficult for it to feel like you're actually accomplishing a lot with each run.
And most roguelikes let you keep all your money, or they'll let you keep the money that you had beforehand, so you can get more money.
Yeah, this one makes you have to spend all your credits between each run, and whatever you don't spend, say you have 120 credits, whatever, that you can't spend on anything, then you lose it. I would have 10,000 more credits to spend on stuff if that just didn't go away.
Yeah. And you also can't save up for a particular upgrade that you want.
Yeah.
So say you want to fully upgrade a section, you can't save up for that. So you just have to like hope that you get enough credits in your run. I think the most credits I got in a run was 25,000.
Yeah, I think the most I've gotten is like 11, 12,000. So yeah, it's definitely not easy to get a ton of credits in a single run. So like, and that often depends on like which missions you have completed versus haven't completed and like what you can do.
And I also have my credits upgraded to the max. You can there's a thing on the ship where you can collect more credits. And I have mine upgraded, so I get more credits.
Mine's like halfway upgraded. It's not like fully upgraded, but yeah, that definitely helps. And like the loot bonus perk, which gives you more loot. That one's good.
Yes. But yeah, this game didn't get a lot of it got a lot of mixed reviews. Everyone who played it seemed to really like some things and really hate other things, kind of like us.
Yeah.
I like that it's a space roguelike. The story isn't bad. A lot of roguelikes don't even have a story, so or they have like very minimal story as well. So I think that this was fine in terms of that. I thought that the motion wasn't terrible. I did get a little bit dizzy. I like that your ship components can get damaged. I thought that was a good detail.
Yeah. Yeah. It's frustrating to deal with, but
It sucked.
it's a good detail. Yeah.
Yeah, it really sucked, but it made sense. And it also kind of gave you an indicator of like where you were at, it just like in general health wise. So like, you know, if you didn't have an eye on your health bar, you could see like, oh shit, I can't see anything because my sensors are impaired.
Yeah.
Let me go and like try and fix that and then also get my health back up.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the reviews, they were positive on aesthetics, movement, motion, mode of the game, and negative on the difficulty and the progression, which is how we feel. And somebody had like 800 hours logged into the game. I saw someone with like 1,000 hours logged into the game. I was like, girl, who are you?
What you doing? Go outside. Touch some grass.
I mean, like, I get it. I have like 700 hours logged into Animal Crossing, but that's over a really long amount of time.
I feel like that makes more sense though.
Yeah.
Because Animal Crossing, like, there's no really like a time limit. Like, you can beat the game technically, but like, never really ends.
I don't think you can beat Animal Crossing. I think it beats you.
Maybe. I never really got super into like the terraforming or anything. I'm just not good enough at it. Like, I don't have like a clear vision for what I would want to do with my island. And it's like, you know, I don't have Nintendo online stuff working on my Switch, so it doesn't really matter anyway because I can't show it off.
I love going to other islands. There's an now we're talking about Animal Crossing, but I just need to say this. There's an Animal Crossing island that is based off of Dante's Inferno, and you can go through all nine levels of hell, and they do such a good job with it. And then after you go through all 9 levels of hell, you can go and try and find your way to heaven, which is so cool. And you know, I've read Dante's Inferno because I'm cool, and my older mate loves Dante's Inferno, and so I showed it to her, and she hates video games. She hates Animal Crossing. She's not like a fan, but she loved looking through it. It was really cool. Very creepy as well. Horror islands are really funny on Animal Crossing.
I can't even like picture that in my head because like, how would you like make the Animal Crossing aesthetic like horror? Like that's you know, impressive. It takes a lot of custom designs and a lot of stuff like that.
I've seen Stephen King themed islands where they make like each house based off of like Misery, which is about a writer who has a crazy fan. I wonder where Stephen King got that idea. He loves writing writers. Writers for some reason just love writing writers.
Well, I mean, write what you know, when you pull from life experience, it's always better.
Write what you write.
Write that you are writing about writing.
Stephen King's on writing.
Yeah, literally though.
And there's like a house based off of the Shining Hotel and stuff. It's cool. Okay. So final thoughts on the game and our ratings.
Do you want to go first?
My thoughts on the game, I thought it was really hard. And I'm still going to try and finish it because I paid $40 for this game. Again, I want to reiterate, $40 to do 115 runs and get nowhere.
Well, you got a lot of content hours out of it. That's something.
Only for this. Only for you, Lisi. I only did this for you. I probably would have given up and like asked for a refund if I could have. Which is sad.
I was also more motivated to try and complete the game because of like the podcast and everything. So I was like, I have to do it. Like Lucy's tried so hard.
Well, we delayed recording this episode 2 weekends because
Yeah, because
we
like,
were
well, the
trying.
first week I was really busy, so I didn't have a ton of time to play it. And then
Which is
this
valid.
week I've just been like trying. And like Lucy was like, dude, we literally just don't have to finish the game. And I was like, okay, true. So
Yeah, and we both played around before recording. We were both like, yeah, we're both gonna just finish our a run before we go. Just
yeah,
to
because
see.
like I feel like I'm so close to the end, which obviously now that hearing about, the 6 rounds of enemies in Sector 7, I'm obviously not close to the end. But like I felt like I was. Like I felt like, okay, I made it halfway through Sector 6. The next run will probably be it. And then that run I died in like Sector 2. And I was like, okay, damn it.
Yeah, that's another thing that would be a problem is like how it's nice that there's varying levels of difficulty, but I don't think that the levels of difficulty match the level of upgrade that you have personally. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the enemies keep getting tougher despite you not upgrading to get tough enough for those enemies.
Yeah, it feels a lot like you're usually like punching above your class. Like you can't like I know that like a lot of the ships like aren't like, that aren't technically stronger than yours, but like it always feels like you have to be like super on it. You have to be like good at combat. Whereas they're like missing half their shots and they still can kill you just because they have like sheer numbers.
And I die from the drones all the time. The drones kill me.
The drones are annoying.
I don't like them.
They're annoying because they're hard to hit. They like are really fast, but like
and they're hard to find.
Yeah, and I like don't want to waste missiles on them because like they're so small, right? Like they don't have a ton of HP, so like it's not like worth it to use an entire missile on them. But like I don't know, sometimes it's the only way. Plus there's that one like mission thing, like that little like side quest where like you have to kill one by ramming into it. And I've tried so many times just to like run into it and it's just like, what the heck? Why is it so difficult?
Yeah, I get it to its lowest HP and then I run into it.
That's what I've been trying to do. And even then it doesn't die. I'm like, even on like the one time that I do hit it and it's like at like, I don't know, 10% HP, it just doesn't die.
I have no clue, man.
It's tough.
I don't know how to help you with that. But yeah, I think that this game, I think it's good for people who have a lot of time on their hands and who want a challenge. But I also think that waiting for Everspace 2 might be the best way to get a better version of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't know, it's so expensive. Like $40 is a lot of money to pay for a game like this, especially when games like Hades are a lot cheaper. Games like I love Undermine. Undermine is one of my favorite roguelikes. And it's $15 or $20. And I have put in way more hours in that game and it's a lot more fun. So like while I enjoyed this game, I think that waiting for Everspace 2 is probably like the best idea for other people. But both of us will finish it and we will update once we finish it. And my rating, I would say a 6 only for the difficulty.
Yeah, the difficulty is just like I said, it just goes like harder, hardest basically. So like I wish that they had like a legitimately easy mode because like typically in easy mode, like okay, like in other games where they'll have like an easy, normal, hard mode, I'll go to the easy mode, be like, okay, yeah, whatever, this is a little too easy. I feel bad because I'm getting too far, whatever. It feels like I'm unearned. And then I'll go back to normal mode and it makes me like understand it a little bit more. This is not the case. Like easy mode is just what you have to play. I feel like
easy mode is the default. Like you cannot play normal mode safely.
Yeah, I feel like even like after I've upgraded my ship a bunch, I wouldn't like it wouldn't even feel worth it to go to normal mode because then I just wouldn't make it as far. And so then it's like, yeah, what's the point?
And then when you make it to Sector 3 and you're like, oh, I'm halfway there, and then you die, and then it feels like, why did I even try normal mode? I should have just done easy mode.
Yeah, it's silly. But yeah, I mean like I like the game. Like I said, I started getting into it. It's just frustrating after like a point where like and there's a lot of games where you have that kind of like love-hate relationship where like you really like the gameplay, you really like, you get into it and you like it's satisfying to play when you're like doing well. But then when like you've done an hour run, you feel like you've made a lot of progress, and then it all gets taken away from you because it's, a roguelike, and it doesn't even feel like you've gotten that much out of it because like your credits are reduced by 25% because you're playing on easy mode. It's just kind of sad. So definitely needed to take a break a couple of times. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10 still because like I love space games. This is my first roguelike, so like I don't want to like dang it too hard for being a roguelike just because it may not be my favorite. I mean, again, this isn't, according to Lisi, this isn't a great roguelike to start with. So maybe I'll like roguelikes more in the future, and I'm still gonna give more of them a try. But like it's not my favorite gameplay style so far. But like for the game, what the game was trying to do, I think if they fixed the difficulty and a couple of the other things we mentioned, it would be a really great game. Like I liked the plot, it was interesting, and I liked the little side quests and the missions that you can do. So yeah, for me, it would still get a 7 out of 10.
And then on the gluten-free scale, where 1 means there is no gluten in the game, or any allergens in the game that would affect us, we would be totally fine to live in this game and live happily in this game. And 5 is we would be either going through anaphylaxis or having the worst diarrhea of our lives.
Woohoo.
Where do you think this game falls?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a 1. There's no food in the game at all. So like I would die, but it wouldn't be from allergies. So, and yes, we would not die from the allergies. We would definitely die from just being shot to bits in space, for sure.
So if you're looking for one of the most gluten-free games on the market, I would say Everspace is your game.
It's great. It's very gluten-free friendly, allergy friendly, vegan friendly because there's no food at all. So there's just it's any dietary restriction.
It's a dietary restriction paradise. And you're a clone. Really you don't even need to eat. Yeah, it's perfect.
Exactly. It's great. You're only slowly dying from a toxin, but that's fine.
Whatever.
Who cares?
I forgot that you're slowly dying every round. Because they mentioned that as you get to like sector 6 and 7, they're like, I don't know if I can hold on much longer because I am dying.
Yeah, which is like wild. Like, yeah, when I got to sector 6 and he was like, because there's this little AI on board your ship that you talk to every once in a while, and he was like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this for, a lot longer. And the guy was like, well, yeah, we are going somewhere. So yeah.
Okay. And our achievements that we've unlocked this week, do you have anything for this section?
Well, I unlocked a lot of achievements on Forza, so I feel like that counts. I was really bad at the game when I initially started because the handling is a lot like more realistic and a lot different than like other racing games I've played because I'd never played
Mario
any of the
Kart.
Forza games before. Mario Kart, exactly. And yeah, no, like it's fun. So I've unlocked a lot of achievements on that, so it's fun. And I also I finally started playing the end game of Subnautica because I was pussyfooting around it because I was scared of the big fish that you encounter at the end. But I'm finally doing it, and I only died twice so far.
I finally purchased Subnautica. I've been waiting for it to go on sale. It didn't go on sale. I was like, I just need to get this because I need to start playing it because we're supposed to be recording it next week, I think, or sometime soon. My achievement unlocked this week is I bought focaccia bread from a cute gluten-free bakery in Portland called Gluten Free Gem. Shout out. They're my favorite place. And I bought a thing of focaccia bread because I cannot make it well. And it was so good. I toasted it a bit on a like in butter on a pan. And I made some pasta with pesto sauce. I kind of creamed up the pesto sauce a bit with butter. This was a buttery dish, but very carb heavy. But the focaccia bread really made my night last night. I was very
focaccia is
happy.
really good. Love that for you.
So good. So that is the achievement I unlocked.
Yay.
Email us at glutenfreegamingpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, at glutenfreegamingpod, right?
Yes, Gluten Free Gaming Pod. Follow us on Twitter at GF Gaming Pod. Not Girlfriend Gaming, Gluten Free Gaming.
Very clear.
Yes.
And follow Lisi on Twitch at twitch.tv/Lisi_Galaxy. She streams every Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern time, sometimes 7:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, it depends on the day I'm having. So I mean, once because I'm pretty close to affiliate, so once I reach that, I'll have a more concrete schedule.
Yeah, and then you can talk with us because I will most likely be there.
Yes.
If I'm not doing something slightly.
Yeah, and always let me know on Twitch if you pop in for a stream. Let me know if you came from the podcast. I'd love to hear that.
Of course, yeah, that would be really cool. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we hope you have a great gluten-free week.